internet cousin. It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin. Cousin. Hey, it's your favorite internet cousin. Yo, what up, y'all? It's your favorite internet cousin.
Yo, it's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin. Hey, cousin. And we are on episode 4? This is episode 4 of the Favorite Internet Cousin podcast. Now, if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, I don't know whether y'all are busy, I don't know what y'all got going on. Make sure you go back and watch the first 3 episodes. Now I want y'all to come back and watch this episode. They don't connect, but like, that's what cousins do. We make sure that we stay updated with the conversation. So what I want y'all to do is subscribe, like, all of that. But we're going to talk about that in the end. I have a special guest, like a guest that I particularly have been wanting on this podcast for a long time. I remember like last year asking like, hey, can we do something together? But like timing is everything. I feel like timing is everything. So like this time is right. And this podcast, if you don't know, it's about faith, creativity, entertainment. And there are some people who just have it all. They embody all of that. Authenticity, faith, creativity, entertainment. So I'm just going to let him introduce himself and we're going to get into the conversation.
Hey, well, first of all, thank you.
Yes,
Come on, everybody. Come on. My name is Tajir. I go by T sometimes. If you can't say Tajir. But yeah, I'm multifaceted, multi-dimensional, multi-hyphenate.
Yes,
I
guy.
used to go by when I was a child. I used to say I was a triple threat. And then when I became an adult, I realized I was much more than that. So, and I'm not scared
Come on.
to own up to that. And that don't mean that I'm better than nobody either. We gotta be better at loving ourselves without thinking you have to diminish others to do
My
that.
God.
You know?
My God. We're gonna get right into it. You are in a industry, like you are actually in an industry where black men are not really the main topic all the time. Especially now, especially if we go back to like what society is doing, especially with the white men, the white women, we can go deep into that. How do you feel being in a space where you are literally doing the thing? And what does your child stand in you when you wake up every day? You're like, yo, this is my life. This is what I do.
That's a good question. Well, I mean, it can feel like a bunch of different things. Every day is something different, to be honest with you. But overall, I definitely will say every day I wake up excited and definitely joyous. The joy of the Lord is my strength, for sure. So I just wake up every day grateful that I could like do what I love in all those different capacities. But you know, honestly though, sometimes it can be hard. When you got long hair. But you don't want to, have stereotypical roles like yo, let me have my braids, and I don't have to just be the thug. I can be the thug, and I can be the nerd with my braids, or I could have my hair out, and I could be, like anybody. Like I feel like my thing right now is just trying to break boundaries, and sometimes that can be hard.
Yes,
it can be hard, especially when you're young and up and coming too. But I'm trying to break boundaries fast and immediately, like, without permission as well. Like, us as black men, as black people in general, we're the first, and the originators. So to tell me that I can't do multiple things when I know it all comes from me to begin with, it's kind of crazy.
Literally comes from me.
Right. Like, so, if I want to be the straight man and the comedic relief, you can't tell me I can't do both. You can't tell me I don't got the talent, or I don't have the life experience to be able to portray that. Because that's ultimately where the talent comes from, is life experience.
Come on.
So, or so you know.
But though, I think, especially for us as black people, I think that it's very important to see other black people in spaces like this, doing things that maybe a lot of people probably wouldn't even think about doing because of the fact that people may deem it's very hard, it's very difficult. And when you see other people like that, it's like, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have the ability to be able to be in a space like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a driving force for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I make it a point to go to some of my performing art spaces that are like, I mean, super professional, you know, but like I wear my do-rag to work, you know, and you know, that's not ghetto, you know, that's what I use to protect my hair. That's what I use to keep my hair moisturized and, you know, like protected and covered so that way when I reveal it for the show, it looks how it's supposed to look. So if I gotta come to work with my do-rag on, yeah, I might put a hat on it or whatever, but you know, stuff like that, it's like the stigma of those type of things, you know, like we should, I'm trying to break all those. Like a do-rag don't mean nothing more than I'm trying to protect my hair. Whether I have waves, whether I have braids, whether I have, you know, twists, cornrows, whatever, you know, I should be able to go to at least a performing arts setting, you know, where I'm supposed to be doing a show, and be comfortable, you know, or even in rehearsal settings, you know, like I'm still protecting my hair, I protect my hair all the time, you know, and it's things like that where it's like, you know, it's not a bonnet, and even if I wear a bonnet, you know, if I'm protecting my hair, it's like
don't get on that now.
No.
We don't want to get.
I'm just saying, even if it was, if it was a bonnet, you know, like, what is your perception of a bonnet, and what does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with me? If I came in here ready to go, what is, you know, to say that's unprofessional because I'm protecting my hair, your hair is different.
Come on.
You know, so it's little things like that, you know, like, you know, obviously I ain't trying to just be loud and just go in there and try to, you know, cause problems necessarily, but I'm not afraid to address things that need to be addressed, especially, you know, things like wigs, you know, hair related things, or just, you know, just breaking boundaries of like being typecast. Like those are the things that I'm trying to really break.
I'm glad you said something about that, because I have two questions. The first question is, well, I'm gonna start with this one. Now that you have talked about, you know, wearing a do-rag and being authentically black, but also being professional, how has that been, being in a space where it's very, not hard, but it can be very challenging, knowing how to show up as yourself, but also knowing what is professional? How is that? How is the fighting against stereotypes, but also being authentic, also fighting against the whole stick of, we were talking about the other day, of code switching. So how is that whole experience been?
I code switch for fun. I code switch as a pastime. Honestly, code switching is acting to me, just because of the dynamic of how I grew up, which we can get into later. Code switching is fun. You know, I don't look at it as like I have to be white, and it's like no. There's a cultural difference, and I can say, "Well, damn love," but they don't understand that. So I could choose to say, "Whoa, was am every day," or say love every day, or, you know, hello. And I'm gonna say it so extra. Hello. Like, and they're looking at me like, what? Like, I wanna be cheerful, I wanna be joyous. If I was at home, I'll say, one. But y'all don't get that. I know what you do get.
I'm like,
hello.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. Like, so to me, it's like, it's almost, I don't want to say portraying a character, but it is picking and choosing how I use my words, but I never change what I want to say. You know, for example, like if I'm at work, or let's say if I'm not at work, you know, like let's super cliche example, like if I see an attractive girl, you know, at home, like, ooh, she's bad, she's fine. You know, if I'm with some friends who are not of my culture or of that culture, I might say, oh, she hot. And I mean the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's just super surface level, but I mean the same thing. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that the person I'm speaking to knows what I'm saying. And that's really what the root is of code switching, is making sure you know I know what I'm saying. Now, when you catch me with my friends and I'm joking and I'm doing the yah whoopie whoop whatever, you can't judge me based off of that,
right.
And you can't say that's all I am, because I could come into your space and speak very clearly and articulate and sometimes almost to a point where I feel like I gotta use, I gotta say bigger words or I gotta whatever just so you don't play with me and I can come to work with my do-rag. Because if I came to work with my do-rag and I'm what's that? Then I'm ghetto, So I have to pick it. I have to pick my spots. There's a time and a place. So I do. Don't get me wrong. I still say what was in to my black coworkers. Even then, I code switch with black performers too, because like I said, I want to make sure everybody knows where I'm coming from. At the end of the day, like there needs to be no miscommunication, nobody misunderstood, and that's all it is. And it's challenging sometimes being in that space where you're trying to be authentic, but then you're also trying to be professional. So at a cast meeting, business casual, I'm gonna dress all over them. I'm gonna do formal because I can do that. I can, that's who I am. So I'm gonna choose to be more professional in that setting because when I'm coming to work and it's active wear, I'm wearing joggers and sweats, and my joggers and sweats ain't Lululemon. Mine look a little different. Mine something, public good. Shout out public good. Mine Centia. That's what I wear. Like I wear things that are of my culture. So there's that dynamic for sure, and it's really just a balance of the give and take. I need to set the standard of professionalism first, and then be comfortable later. So I choose to be uncomfortable by setting the standard and even, I don't want to say reserving myself, but not showing all of myself. Like I never change who I am, or I never try to dim my light, but I will filter how much you see, just so you know I'm in and out, I'm out. I say thank you, I say you're welcome, I say hi, can I, please, just manners. I smile at everybody who walk near me, who smile at me. Everybody I see, I try to smile at, look at. I don't talk about nobody. I try to keep it super professional, like just, cookie cutter almost in a way. And then outside of work, if I have friends who are coworkers and stuff like that outside of work, they'll see a little bit more. But it's definitely a balance. That's definitely a give and take for sure.
I think because we are from the South, those manners are never going to go anywhere. We are both from the South, but I do think, this is the God honest truth, I do think that that Louisiana South, South Carolina South, two totally different Souths. I want you to talk a little bit about like your upbringing in Louisiana. How did that mold you into being the person that you are? But also, what is it is there something in your past, and like the Louisiana boy in you, that pushes you to be the California boy that you are now?
Wow. So I'm from New Orleans. I grew up on the West Bank. That's where all my family's from. I went to Carr. My dad went to Landry. I grew up on Lauderdale and Algiers. So that's kind of, I'll say, I'm a Katrina baby, first of all. So for me, I spent all of my years in New Orleans until Katrina hit, so about first grade, and I bounced around a lot. So even my story is different than a lot of people's who are in Louisiana, but also saying, we're still the same. There's people like me who bounced around, went back home like I did. There's some people who bounced around and found a new home. But that Louisiana is still there. You could tell, like it's just, you could tell it, it's in us. So for me, growing up in New Orleans, the culture is party. It's everybody love everybody. Everybody is good vibes. And it's a party.
I want to go to Louisiana so bad.
Come on. And it wasn't always that sweet too. It ain't. There's a much darker side of New Orleans too. But it stemmed from love. It stemmed from love. Like anything hate comes from lack of love or wanting for that love and you're not getting it. So that's where the hate comes from. Or somebody hurt somebody you love, somebody, you know. So anything that's bad in the city comes from, usually stems from love, you know. So everybody is super emotional, you know, whether they try to admit it or not. You know, everybody from Louisiana is emotional, super emotional, and super talented. You know, I know people who in kitchens who can sing better than people who like get paid to sing. I'm like, y'all need to come on, like people who dance. I mean, Super Sunday every Sunday, everybody dancing, you know, playing instruments. I'm like, wow, like that's just the culture. Like it's in who we are, not necessarily a job or this or that. Like it's just different. I also grew up in Atlanta, so when Katrina hit, I moved to Mississippi for a little bit, and then to San Antonio with my grandparents while I was split up from my mom and my biological dad, and my stepdad was with my mom, and they told me I couldn't be with either one, like my mom or my dad. I'm 6 years old, and they like, you can't be with either one of them, you pick it between your grandparents. So I'm like, oh Lord, like, you know, I don't even know, I don't even know what's going on. It's my dad weekend, I'm trying to stay with my dad, like, I don't know, like, you know, and I wound up being like, okay, let me stay with my mom's grandparents, and that was a whole journey within itself. We didn't know Katrina was gonna be what it was, so I stayed with them for some months, you know.
Favorite internet cousin, a cousin, a cousin, oh yeah, it's your favorite internet cousin,